Hello, Dave here. What you're about to hear is the full spoiler discussion for Baldur's Gate 3. The recording took so long, so if you are just tuning in, I had to split up the recording into the non-spoiler and the spoiler sections. This episode is 100% spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, please go listen to the non-spoiler episode. It is its own episode in the feed, and go play Baldur's Gate 3, come back when you're done, hear us talk about our experiences with the game here. Thank you very much. I would like to also mention on this episode that if you're listening during the week that this episode comes out, we are holding a charity streaming event over on Twitch in memory of a friend and community member, Chris, that we lost. We're streaming to benefit Suicide Awareness Voices of Education. We're going to have a good time on those streams. We're going to be playing some good games, and I will be doing my personal stream during that on Friday, April 26th from 7 to 10 Eastern Time. You can check down in the show notes for a link to the Fireheart Media, which is the organizer of the event. We hope to see you there. And that just leaves me to thank the wonderful patrons who support this show, as per usual. Big shout out to Chris Nelson, the Top 3 Podcast crew, Chris Copleen, Eric Guess, Rick Firestone, Nick Fakori, Jill, Jeff, formerly Jerf, Kieran, Soccer, ZNA, Cupcake, Kyle, Christian S., Matt aka Stormageddon, JD, Doug Leaf, Jason Emery, Brian Skirsha, Randall, Jake Martin, Jenny E., and many more. Your support is always appreciated, and after another long intro, it is time to go into full spoilers for Baldur's Gate 3. We're back, and it is full spoiler time for Baldur's Gate 3, and what we're not going to do here is we're not going to go through every single quest because there are podcasts that are dedicating years of podcasting time to doing that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is talk about notable things in the 3 acts, talk about notable choices that you can make throughout that affect your character. Jim's going to talk about the evil playthrough, and a little bit of Dark Urge, I hope. I want to know a little bit about that. And then we'll talk about how our character stories played out as well. So first things first, just quick question. Did you guys eat the tadpoles or use the tadpole items that you get? Because I did not.
Not at all?
Not at all. Nope.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I on 2 characters, on my main character and on Lae'zel.
On Lae'zel?
Yeah, well, for her, it was like, because she just wouldn't shut up about being like so pure and weird. So I was like, shut up, fucking eat this shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to get psionic powers whether you like it or not.
Okay, so do they make you like noticeably more powerful, or do they just give you different powers?
They definitely add. I mean, my character was all about like, just give me all the power.
Okay.
And so I was picking and choosing all for myself, but then like if I had extras, like, this ability would be really cool on this other person. Some of them are excellent. Some of them don't seem to help too much, but by the time you unlock the final ring of them, they just get stupid.
Okay.
If you unlock the final ring, right? Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, if you
one.
do that. There's one that is just 1 free critical hit per long rest. And that at the right time on a boss, or like if you have a paladin who's smiting, like just say hello to 150 damage right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I heard that taking the tadpoles also like affects your appearance.
Only later in the game. So there's
Okay.
the final ring that you unlock, like, makes your face all veiny.
It's like your whole body, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. If you take your clothes off.
I would notice. Yeah, like when you go to sleep, my character was all veiny and weird.
Yeah.
Once you finish the game, well, maybe this depends on how you finish the game, but the way that I finished it, my characters reverted back to their original look, and I had forgotten like how good the characters looked. I guess. Just like
Oh yeah.
like I'd forgotten what my characters look like. I guess just because I played for so long. Just with this weird like veiny black like
Right.
I think probably the most powerful thing that I got from that on Lae'zel was just fly. Being able to fly on a fighter
fly.
is incredible, because not only like it uses less movement speed per meter that you're actually moving, so you have a much longer range of using it. So having that was probably easily the most powerful thing on Lae'zel. All the spells and everything I found honestly were just not as powerful than just using a basic attack, because using a basic attack would give you 2 more attacks, whereas like casting a spell with Lae'zel, who doesn't have a lot of wisdom or intelligence at all.
If you don't take any of the tadpoles, you use none of them throughout the playthrough, when the Emperor offers you the Astral Touch tadpole at the end, you can just say no, and that's the end of it. If you have tadpoles and he offers them to you, you have to pass a save to actually like not use it. The final ring unlocks this one called Black Hole, and to use any and all of your illicit abilities, it takes your full action to use it. But if you in the Kresh succeed on the Zathis saving throws, it becomes a bonus action for all of them, and you can only put that on one character. Black Hole literally moves only enemies within a huge area, pulls them in, and puts them all in one area that you want, and then puts slow on them. But you can use it in the middle of your party, and it won't affect your party members. It's only enemies.
Only affected enemies.
So all of a sudden, you're using that as a bonus action. You put them all together, and then you just fireball that area. It starts to get incredible.
Yeah.
I see. All right. So Act 1, let's talk about that. So Act 1 is all about the search for a cure for the tadpole, basically. You get like a bunch of quests that are all leads to people who you think might be able to help you with the tadpole. Although, to the best of my knowledge, nobody can actually do it in Act 1, right?
Correct.
I don't think so. I think I honestly like 100%ed as well as you could Act 1.
Yeah, me too.
Like I interacted with everything. I think I like finished every quest in some way, and no, there wasn't any way to do it, even having the lobotomy done.
I was gonna ask you guys, did you let Volo try to get it out? Because I did.
Yeah.
Real video game logic there, where it was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? This isn't real. So what is cool is it is a very brutal cutscene where he's digging around in your eye with an ice pick, and he pops your eye out. But as a reward for letting him try, you get a cool glass eye that lets you see invisible enemies. That was like incredibly useful for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think I took that for granted. I didn't even realize how often I was using that, just because you would walk up to something and see it. Like,
or like, in combat, if an enemy tries to go invisible, they have to like pass a check to not get revealed right away by your eye. So really useful. All right. So the Act 1 is set up with the big thing is this conflict between this druid encampment and this goblin camp. And this is one of those things that I remember seeing on Twitter. Someone put together a big compilation of all of the different ways that you can solve this goblin camp. And so earlier, Jim, when you said that they should teach this in schools, this game, I was thinking like in like a game design course, if they want to teach multiple ways to solve a problem in a game, this goblin camp seems like it would be a nice textbook example, because there's like, feels like there's hundreds of ways to solve this issue. So how did we do this goblin camp or druid camp problem?
I'll let you guys go first because
Okay.
yeah.
Well, the way I did it probably shouldn't be taught in schools because I just manipulated everybody into thinking that I was on their side, and then in the last moment chose who I was going to side with based on what they had to offer for me.
Okay.
So I had the goblin chick. I don't remember her name right now. What's her name?
Minthara.
Yeah, Minthara. I had her believing that I would like turn on the Emerald Grove people when she showed up. I had the tieflings thinking that I would help them escape, and I had the druid people on my side, and I ended up killing Minthara and all the goblins and everything. I actually ended up going back and doing it again with a friend in a way that was really fun. We wanted to see if we could one-shot the encounter by setting up explosives along everything. So like we took like an hour and a half just to like get to that, or we took an hour and a half just to like set everything up, and then just to have like Astarion or somebody do their cantrip fireball and just like blow everything. We couldn't one shot it, but it was still very, very fun to do. But yeah, I ended up killing Minthara, and I think that was before I knew she could be a companion, and so I kind of regretted that because I thought she was kind of cool.
Yeah, I ended up just taking the fight to the goblins inside of their camp. So I did the quest to free Halsin, and in the quest to free Halsin, once you bust him out of the jail, he busts out and he's really pissed off, and this big fight happens. And then the fight just kept spilling into different areas. And so the fight inside of like the goblin fortress or whatever turned out to be like this 1.5 2 hour long, like extended fight where the only time I got a break from it was when there was a literal door separating like the inside of this place from the outside. So I had to kill everybody inside slowly. Like it was almost like comical how like I would get in one fight and so like say there's like 5 people in this room, and then I would kill 4 of them, but it would spill out into the next room trying to get the 5th one, and then the next room would aggro. And then like someone would sound an alarm, and so like people are coming from the next room after that, and it was just like this seemingly endless thing. And then finally everybody inside was dead, and then I opened the door to go outside thinking like, oh, maybe they didn't hear what was going on. No, they're all aggroed as well. So I killed every single person, every single thing in the goblin camp, including I got that owlbear cub killed, which I felt bad about.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that was mine. I tried to finesse it a little bit, but it turned into this just comical, never-ending fight that was very hard early in the game. But that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Going the stealth way can be fun. All the goblins outside the camp are drinking, and you can just poison their drink, and like they'll all die. So the way that I did it was I joined the goblins and massacred the druid grove. And when you do that, so Minthara wound up being one of the members of my party, basically the whole game, and she's a paladin. And so we went into the druid grove, and then there's a moment where she splits off and she heads to where all the tieflings are, and all the goblins are heading to the druids. Well, I was like, I want her on my team, so I was chasing her. She opens the door to where all the tieflings are, and you literally have to kill the women and the children. I mean, like,
Jesus.
They are, it's horrifying. Like, they are running, mole, all of it are like running for their lives, and you're like cutting them down. It definitely made me feel like a bastard.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to do that.
So, but I mean, you think about
my next run,
how often you encounter the tieflings through this game.
Yeah.
They were gone. So like, they weren't at Last Light. No Damon. Like, they weren't in the refugee camps when you came to Riverton. Like, my first game was, I made these fundamental changes, and it was like a totally different game playing through it as a good guy. Like, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a sec, this guy's here. What's going on? But they were dead in the first game because I had to kill them.
And if you do that, I assume that like Karlak will leave
And will.
And will.
Gale is supposed to leave too, but I think the game glitched a little bit. And on my Evo playthrough, I never gave him an item like to suck in. I was just like, nope, yeah, can't deal with you right now. But I was passing all of my persuasion checks, so he kept sticking around. So he never left, but I never used it. And so here I am just murdering people, which I find out later that Gale's like the nicest guy. But he hung with me. So
gotcha. All right. So Goblin Camp, done that way. The other main thing in Act 1 that I wrote down to talk about is the Githyanki Kresh. I don't know if you can side with the Queen. Can you? Do you know?
No. I tried to be a bastard to her and just not tell her anything. And if you do that, she uses a wish spell on you and kills you, and it ends your run. So, like, you can party wipe there. It literally tells you,
Crazy.
like, Vlaakith used wish, like, your game is over. Start over? And it's like, I guess so.
Whoops. So, yeah, I guess you have to. So, like, if you go in there, you will have to fight your way out, because that was another one where I had to kill everyone to get out of that place.
Yeah, they betray you no matter what.
Okay, gotcha. Anything else in Act 1 that we want to mention? I guess I'll mention the one thing from my Dark Urge playthrough that I did see is if you're playing the Dark Urge and you are giving in to the Dark Urge's wishes, when you run across Gale and his arm is sticking out of the rock, your Dark Urge will tell you to just cut the hand off, and you can, and Gale will die, and you'll just have a bloody arm in your hand.
Yep, amazing.
Yeah. I think a couple items, I know, like on the Nautiloid, the very beginning of the game, you can pick up a couple items, the brains.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
and they will last you all the way, and like you can't use those things for anything until like the end of Act 2, essentially. And then same with the Necromancy of Thay. Did you guys do that quest?
Oh my god, yes.
That was a quest that I save scummed, and because I wanted to see what was going to happen with that thing. Like, I was just so curious. It was one of those ones that really drew me in, like dungeon delving mystery, what the fuck's going on. Plus the item itself is like yellow when it gets into your bag, so it's like, okay, this is obviously worth something, right?
I found the crystal that you like put in the cover of the book, and then like as like a role-playing decision, I was like, this is a bad idea, we're not doing this. As opposed to the good idea that was letting Volo dig around in my eye.
Exactly. But it's one of those cool, it's just like such a cool thing that like you keep that thing in your bag, not knowing what it's going to do forever until hours and hours and hours later when you like finally need it. The cool thing about the brains is that if you don't have them in your bag, you'll never get to hear what they say. Yeah. And I didn't have those first two in my bag. They were in my bank because they were 5 pounds each, or 5 kilograms, whatever it is, with units of measurement there. And so I put them in my bank because they were just weighing me down. And so once I got to that spot and I couldn't go back, I was kind of disappointed. I used some of the other ones, but that you find in the Moonrise Towers. But anyway, there was those things. The Necromancy of Thay is a really cool one. I thought that was a really good, really fun design, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing is on the Nautiloid, there is a what are they called? Intellect Devourers. There's one that can apparently become like an NPC later on that I killed right away when I saw it. I was like, you're bad news, I'm killing them. But apparently that's not necessarily the case. So Jim, did you save that thing? Do you know what's up with it?
Right away I killed it, but in my other playthroughs I've used it. It's actually a really strong tank at the beginning of the game. And then later on, essentially, it's a gratified familiar.
Okay, gotcha.
And then, did you guys ever do a run where you killed the boss on the Nautiloid?
Oh, I've tried so many times.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do it, and I did it with a friend in a co-op mode. You kind of have to cheese a little bit. You got to put some barrels in front of the door so that the bad guys don't come in. His reinforcements will come in, but they won't if there's barrels in front of the door. They just stand there and do nothing. Yeah, that's kind of the way to cheese that one. And then you do have to be very lucky, like with hits and misses and things like that, because you'll miss a lot. But if you do get lucky, then you can bring him down. And then the sword that he drops is like super OP for any fighter or whatever that you have. So that was kind of fun.
Just 1d4 extra fire damage. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, an extra, another side quest that starts in Act 1 is Auntie Ethel, which was one of my favorites just from Act 1 when I thought it was a one-off side quest. And then she comes back in Act 3 and I was like, holy shit, what? In Act 1, I was able to save the woman that she had captured. And it was a really awesome, like, because you have to fight like the little fucking mushroom gnomes or whatever outside her little like evil gnome servants or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you have to go into her lair. And it took me a long time to figure out like how to deal with the masks because you have to wear one of those masks to get through the door. But if everyone's wearing the masks and you go too far, then they get mind controlled by her.
Yep.
And then at the end, the woman you're trying to save is in this cage and it's burning. And it was like a light bulb went off and it was like, I know how to put out fire. Like this game is reactive. You can use water or ice spells to put out a fire. So like, sorry lady, but I gotta shoot this with an ice spell. You'll survive. It's gonna hurt, but like the cage will survive. So I was able to save her that way. But that was like a really, really long and involved quest line and like tons of strategy to like get to the end of it. But I loved that. It was really good.
That was some really good D&D ass D&D in that whole hag thing. I love when you free her and then she's like mad at you. Like she's like, I had a plan, you ass. And then I was trying to do the evil thing. So I raised her husband up. Like,
I did that too. Yeah. And then I felt bad and reloaded.
Oh, it's so funny because you raise him and she's like getting all upset. And your character literally has like this thing that you can say where he like folds his arms and cocks his head to the side. And it's like, look, it's your husband. Do you want him or not? And she'll take it and like take him to town. And he's just a zombie. Hilarious. I loved that.
I honestly thought that quest with the hag fight, getting through the poison clouds and everything, that was probably the most difficult thing in Act 1. And like for like scaling with power level, like where you are, probably one of the more difficult encounters that I had within the whole game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was that and the fight against the Githyanki warriors with the dragon like next to that bridge. Those are the two hardest fights in Act 1 for me, for sure.
Did you guys, how'd you fare against the giant automaton Grim? Like, I thought he was hard.
Yeah. No, I had to kill him. I had to do that fight a couple times before I got it.
Yeah, I got spanked by him.
Was that Act 1? That is Act 1.
Is that in the Forge in Act
it's like
2?
It's like 1.5, because I thought Act 2 is basically all just the Shadowlands.
Okay. So it's okay. Yeah, that was tough. I had to try that several times and like, try and line up like the lava and then like the smasher to come down and hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there was some weird pathing things that kind of sometimes made it a little bit janky, but yeah, that was another fight that was just very, I had to reload it a couple times, really think about what to do here. I think just because my party makeup also wasn't conducive to like his resistances and things like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite put it together until like a couple attempts that you could just smash him. Like I thought I just had to like whittle him down. So
right.
I was texting Dave before this on this dual playthrough that we're doing. We've had to intentionally cheese a lot of things, and it actually is very funny. Like the Githyanki Kresh, because they are all militaristic warriors, they don't care if you just start a fight in their like house. So you can just kill all of them, and unlike the Goblin camp where the fight will spill out, they just accept that. So like you'll just go through room by room killing them, and the rest of them will still be friendly to you.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, because I don't remember killing a lot of them at all. I remember kind of walking out of there.
Wow.
I killed the god lady or whatever.
Yeah, like once the queen had decided that we were the enemies, then everybody turned hostile on me. But
yeah, I think I don't know. That's weird.
I was texting Dave before this. We had to cheese that big automaton Grim, and I stood. You don't have to go down into the fight arena, so my buddy did, and I stood up above him, lobbing hammers at him, and I was doing like 80 damage a hit because he's vulnerable to bludgeoning. It's so dumb.
Nice.
I do remember that. Yeah, the bludgeoning thing. So I remember like going back into the Grimforge, like the cave areas, and looking for maces and things that had bludgeoning damage, and just giving them to everyone in my party so I could just do a little bit more damage.
Okay, so Act 1. I think we've covered most of the stuff in Act 1. And we're saving character quests for later, when we'll talk about our favorite character quests kind of all in one. And I know most of them start in Act 1. So Act 2, in the Shadow Cursed Lands, doing the Moonrise Tower quest and meeting Ketheric Thorm. So the first thing in Act 2, I think like one of the first decisions that you'll make is you get a guide, or at least I did. I got a guide. I passed like a performance check to play the guitar, and Minthara's guitar, or her lute or whatever, which helps this big spider guide who has one of the lanterns that can guide you through the Shadowlands to Moonrise Tower. And along the way, I had to make a choice of whether to stick with the evil-looking spider guy or to join up with the Harpers when the Harpers attack that caravan. So I killed the spider guy, took the lantern, joined up with the Harpers. That seemed like the right thing to do, but I kind of convinced them that I was part of the Absolute Cult until that point. And then, they got mad when I betrayed them or whatever. But I needed that lantern. That was the main thing. It was less about like, I want to join the Harpers, and more like, this is my chance to kill this guy and steal that lantern so that I can walk around in this place.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to get through first. I stayed on their side, killed the Harpers, and just went all the way to Moonrise. And
there you go.
You basically just like kind of, because you have a tadpole, so you are what they keep calling you, a true soul.
Yeah, right.
And so you just kind of get free reign there, and they just are like, oh, well, you're just like one of us. So we became their buddies. I'll get into the next part in a bit, because it's, again, just going super gruesome.
It gets gnarly. Yeah. So, Chris, did you side with the Harpers?
No, I didn't. I don't know why, but I feel like there was nothing that said like who's a good guy or bad guy. Maybe that's just how the game is, right? But I just thought, well, this guy's helping me out. The spider dude's guiding me. I kind of want his moon lantern. It didn't occur to me. I think, like I said before, like the playing through the game, the first run, you just learn how to play the game. It didn't occur to me to just kill the guy and steal his lantern or whatever. Like, this guy looks evil. He should die, and I'll take his lantern. So I was just like, this guy's helping me. He was just like an NPC that just was getting me from one place to another. That's kind of how I viewed him. So my regret is that I did that, went pretty much straight to Moonrise Towers. I did the stuff in the bar, which was kind of fun, but I missed pretty much everything that has to do with Last Light Inn.
Wow.
Because I progressed the story through Moonrise Towers pretty quick. And I did some other stuff, like I did the Sharon, the buff you can get from there, which was really helpful for quite a long time. If you know what I'm talking about, where you go underground and get that temporary buff. That was really good. I did a few other things, but I didn't even see Last Light Inn until I had finished all of Moonrise Towers, and it was telling me to go to Act 3, essentially. And I was like, well, there's still part of the map that I haven't even explored. So I went over there and I found this inn, and I was like, Last Light Inn, that's what everybody talks about online about like where good vendors are and stuff. And I was like, I thought that was in Baldur's Gate. I thought that was in Act 3.
Right.
So once I got there, only Wolbrin was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, can you help me out? Help my friend if you can find your dude. And so I went back to the Moonrise prison, like no one's there like at all. So I was kind of miffed on that. So definitely on the next playthrough, I'll make sure I actually do some of that Last Light stuff.
Yeah.
After that, like Halsin leaves my party because I didn't do any of his quest to like, I guess help rejuvenate the land or whatever. Like I missed out on actually for Warlock, the best robes that you can get for your cantrips for your Eldritch Blast is sold by the tiefling bard who you meet up with a few times.
Yeah, she gives them to you.
Yeah, if you help her out. And I missed out on that, so I felt real bad. Like, So, but anyway, I missed the whole Last Light Inn stuff completely. So.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff tied in with the Last Light Inn, like the quest to cleanse the Shadow Cursed lands. That was really good. Really tough fight at the end of that one. The Last Light Inn has Jaheira in there, who is a character from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, who I was happy to see. Because it's the first character from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 that you meet is Jaheira, at least to my knowledge. Unless
she pops up, though, at the Ketheric Thorm fight.
Right, yeah.
She'll pop up even if you haven't met her yet, so...
Right. So I was happy to see her, and then that gave me hope that because she was here, that maybe some other characters from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 would be here, and they were later on. So that was cool. Let's see, in the Shadow Cursed lands, the quest with the Underdark, that's in Act 1, the Underdark. The Underdark gnomes and like the mushroom people was a weird quest. I got like some mushroom blessing from that I never used for the entire game. I have no idea what it did. And in the Shadow Cursed lands, that's where you do the Night Song quest.
That's really
and that ties in with characters at Moonrise Tower as well, because there's one of the dudes that's hunting the Night Song works for Ketheric Thorm, I think. So I was kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll go do that for you, whatever. And then like I did that and then went back and killed him later. Like, so that was cool because Shadowheart was in my party. So the Night Song quest was part of her story. Also, she wants to go kill the Night Song in the name of Shar, and I convinced her not to.
Oh, same. It was really good.
You have to have, if you don't have her in your party when you go in there, she will permanently leave. Like, she's like, I'm done with you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, kind of like, you're not helping me with the thing that I like, the one thing that I want to do. So yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go do that thing.
Act 2 is, you can really kind of fast track it because almost all the Act 2 has like a lot of like almost like mini bosses. Like there's these, 3 different ones in town. There's the tollkeeper and then the barkeep and the surgeon. And you can talk your way through all of them. You can outdrink the barkeep and it will kill him, which is very funny.
Oh, that's good.
That was my ending on him. Unfortunately,
I remember doing the surgeon quest where you can convince him to let like his students operate on him and just be like, you kind of, if I remember right, you kind of like question his dedication to the whole thing, and that convinces him to let the students, and that really hurts him a lot. And it made that boss fight a lot easier.
Yeah. As an evil playthrough, so you go talk to Ketheric initially, and then they're like, oh, you need to go get this chick named Isabel from Last Light. So
right.
I helped abduct her, and when you do that, the moon shield falls over Last Light Inn, and everybody dies to the Shadow Curse. So every single person except for Jaheira. So then, there I am. I've ended all of this, and all of them, when they die, they become shades. So then all of a sudden you've got to fight your way out of Last Light Inn. And I remember we fought our way out, and Jaheira was like, who did this? And I was like, oh, it wasn't me. And she believed me. And so she joined me. But there was this really interesting thing, and I'm going to come back to it in a little bit at the end when I kind of talk about evil versus good playthrough in this game. You can tell, and I get it, you only have so much time to do this. They only made one cutscene for a lot of these things. So you're supposed to have the tieflings there when this moon shield falls. But in Act 1, I killed all of them. So all of a sudden, this scene starts to play out where the camera is like hyper focused on this dead tiefling. And then it pans over to Jaheira being really upset. And I was like, what? Did I miss that character? Like, why is that a big deal? But I just didn't realize that, the tieflings were supposed to be there. And instead, I was just killing everyone along the way.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's definitely some, like, I found that in Act 3, there's definitely some people who have, like, animosity towards you. Like, I've never met you. What are you talking about? Like, I've never talked to you before. Yeah.
So I think it's at the end of Act 2 that Gale's quest will give him the option to, like, detonate as a way to kill... is it the Elder Brain that he's trying to kill by doing that? Yeah. Jim, have you ever let him do that?
Yeah, and it ends your game. Imagine
that happening on honor mode, and you're just like, okay, well.
I think that one doesn't actually count because, like, you, and I'm using air quotes here, you win when that happens.
Oh, okay, I see.
Like, Gale goes in, and there's this brief cutscene where it's like, this is an end of sorts, but it then talks about how a bunch of people are undergoing seramorphosis, turning into mind flayers, and, like, now the Sword Coast just has to deal with that.
Oh, man.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I didn't let him do it. I had considered it, but then I just, like, forgot because he wasn't in my party.
Yes, I'm here. And then they were just saying, like, oh, I wasn't in range. I wasn't around. I couldn't do it. And everyone was, like, disappointed. I was like, was he supposed to be? Like, I feel like it would have not been right. Or, like, what kind of ending could have that been? Like, does it not kill the brain? So then who cares if you were there or not?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, I kind of trusted that they would have done something interesting with it if, like, it wasn't kind of a non-standard, like, game over or ending or something like that. But yeah, he just, like, was just there and nothing really came of it either. Like, with his story, like, there was no punishment for him not doing it, really. Right. So I stormed Moonrise Tower and basically fought my way up with the Harpers. And this was the part of the game where I figured out that you can cancel spells that you're concentrating on. Because I would use, like the Cloud of Flies spell, or like the Cloud of Daggers, I think it's called. I would use a bunch of those in combat all the time. And then after combat at the bottom of Moonrise Tower, my, like, flies or blades spells would still be going, and the Harpers would just walk through them and die. And then they would aggro and start fighting me. And I'd be like, dude, you, like, fucking, like, this not my fault. So then I figured out, like, oh, hidden down in the corner of the screen is a tiny little X. If you click that, you'll stop concentrating on those spells. But yeah, we fought our way up. There was, like, a brief time, because I think the way it works is even if you fight your way up from the bottom, you can still talk to Ketherick and he'll still try to, like, deal with you. And then you can choose whether you want to work with him or go actually fight the rest of those fights.
It's sort of interesting because, like, I killed the Night Song. So okay. I wound up walking in and I actually did bring Shadowheart with me for that one part, because you get a really awesome spear that I used for a lot less time than I should, actually. But so I killed the Night Song, and then once you do that, Ketherick is mortal, and so it means that you basically declared war on him anyways. So I had to assault Moonrise Tower by myself, which I did. But by this time, I had my full party. I didn't mention my other two people earlier, but it was me, Asterion, Minthara, and then Jaheira was my fourth one running through.
Gotcha.
So we just assaulted it ourselves, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Night Song wasn't super helpful in the last fight. anyway. At least in my playthrough, she got knocked down and stunned like consecutively. So she got like one attack off on Ketherick, but I think I had it under control. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, that wasn't a super hard fight against Ketherick. I think the Night Song did some work in that fight with me. So yeah, that was not super tough. The fight after that, when you're fighting like that like god,
the avatar of Merkel.
The avatar, that was harder.
That was a cool fight.
I thought that was the best fight.
That scene leading up to it was great.
I thought that was the best. I thought he was the best kind of big bad guy in the whole game.
I think that's like a cover art or like a box art. Scene you could definitely put for the game, in my opinion. It just the stage is like the battlefield, the arena is really, really cool. The graphic of them is really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the point where you kind of realize like what's actually going on with the story. It's like where the story pushes forward, where you find out like these kind of champions of these old gods are being used by the Absolute. And like this elder brain is, you might figure out that, I think you do know it's an elder brain that's like behind this whole thing at that point. So getting some kind of like resolution on what the big bad actually is, because for a long time, like by the end of Act 2, it's like 60 hours of game. You're like, I still don't know what the Absolute is, like who leads the Absolute, the cult and stuff like that. So you finally get that answer. And then like the new quest is to get the 3 nether stones that will help you like fight against the power of the elder brain. You get the first one from Ketherick Thorm there. And then in Act 3, you're trying to get the other 2. So that's that. The only other thing in Act 2 that I had written down is that they did humanize Ketherick a little bit with his backstory and how he was always thinking about his daughter, who is Isabel, the one they were trying to kidnap from the Last Light. And Isabel's also in a relationship with the Night Song. So yeah, pretty cool there.
Is there a way to spare him, or does he always die in the end?
You have to kill him no matter what.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of dialogue options that's like, we can help you, it's not over, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Blah. I thought maybe if there was something that I missed, but
I tried to talk my way through that, and he was very much like, nah, it's too late for all that now.
Yeah. If you pass all the persuasion checks, he will dive into the pool by himself, and then you have to fight the avatar early. But it's not like... I
see.
Yeah.
That's what happened with me. Is that earlier fighting him then? Oh, I don't even know what the other option would have been then.
Usually you have to like take him down first.
Oh, you fight Ketherick first. In that,
yeah, there's a fight like on a rooftop. You fight him.
I did the rooftop, yeah.
Okay.
If you keep the spider alive, the spider appears on that rooftop.
yeah, I had to kill him in that fight too. That was annoying.
Yeah, and he's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. When you fight the spider out in the Shadowlands, like when the Harpers attack, he went down pretty quick. But there's a lot of chaos in that rooftop fight. So,
also, Night Song is like terrifyingly badass. She stomps people's skulls and shit. That's like that's one of the more disturbing scenes, I think, when she goes on her rampage. You can even see your characters like kind of like stand back and look at her like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What are you doing? When she would go like Super Saiyan and all of a sudden she would be casting Moonlight on herself, plus she'd be dumping smites. I thought, I want to play with the Night Song as a character.
That's kind of a bummer because like anytime that she was there, she just got like I said on the rooftop, she got like knocked down and then like paralyzed or stunned or something right after that. She didn't really do much. She did one attack on Ketherick and that was it. And then in the basement fight with the Avatar, I saved her as soon as I could and got her out of her binds or whatever. But I don't think she ever even made it up to the platform to make any attacks on it. Maybe just because like I was very like efficient and like killed things really quickly. Maybe that was the reason why. Like, I don't know. Maybe should have given people a little more time to stretch their legs. But
okay, so that is Act 2. Unless there's something else that we missed about Act 2.
I would say when you get that Sharon buff from that, like you do the little puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I rode that shit out for as long as possible. It's strong. It's like +5 to your main ability point if you get it on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't, honestly.
So there's like, it's kind of near the doctor's hospital place or whatever it's called. There's this little puzzle. It looks like a fountain. And if you solve the puzzle, it opens up a door. You go downstairs and you like pass some wisdom and different checks and stuff like that. And you can do it for like a +5 charisma buff, which I was playing Warlock's perfect. I think there was a +5 wisdom that I had on one character on my Shadowheart, and a +5 strength on Lae'zel. And I rode that as far as I could. And people said,
Nice.
I read online, like people said, like, oh, do that right before the Ketheric fight, because there's no time limit to it. You could just go do that first and have it to long rest. But I just like I refused to go long rest.
Oh, okay.
For so long just to keep that buff. But yeah, anyway.
That makes sense. One other thing, I guess, is it in Act 2? It all kind of runs together. Is it in Act 2 when you find out who your spectral guardian really is?
No. Wait.
Act 3?
Yeah, that's Act 3. That's like
Okay.
right at the beginning of Act 3.
Okay, so at the beginning of Act 3 then, let's move in. So you find out your spectral guardian is like trapped in the like spectral plane, but is actually a mind flayer in hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up until this point, I personally, I guess, I don't want to assume that you all had the same thing, because who the fuck knows with this game, but I had started to kind of question whether the spectral guardian was really on my side or whether they were just trying to use me to some purpose. And then I thought the writing and stuff with that was really good. And then you find out that it's actually this big mind flayer, which puts another complication in things, because the whole game until now has been teaching you not to trust them, that they're bad, except for the one that's hanging out with the mushroom people in the Underdark. That one's
Right.
chill.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a really interesting, really unexpected thing that comes up. And so you have this new character that, reveals their true self to you, called the Emperor, that you talk to throughout Act 3. And Act 3 is fucking long, like 30, 40 hours for me of my 100 hours was Act 3. So that was cool. I guess the big question here is, did you have sex with the Emperor?
Oh yeah. I'm of the 11.4% of players on Steam who have that achievement. So
Okay, hell yeah.
Incredible.
I did
YOLO.
not. Yeah. I did not. I was very faithful to Shadowheart. Faithful in the sense that like I was not going to have sex with the Emperor, but I was going to try and like see what Karlach was up to. I was not able to romance Karlach, but it was me and Shadowheart.
I was going for Minthara the whole time, and so I did not sleep with the Emperor, but I did sleep with those Drow twins in the brothel.
Oh yeah, I did that too.
Mm-hmm. With Asteria.
Dude, I didn't even know there was a brothel. Fuck, dude, I was a little slut in my playthrough. That was a room. I think the first I slept with Lae'zel, and then she was just like, "I'll use you when I want." Like that was her whole thing. Like we're not in a relationship. I just you're my plaything.
You slept with Lae'zel 10 minutes into the game when she asks for it.
Pretty much, yeah. And then slept with the Emperor because I don't know, he wanted it, so fuck it. I just wanted to see what was going on there. The dialogue said that it was the most incredible experience that you think you will ever have, or some shit like that.
Yeah, I heard the dialogue is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, Will was like romancing a lot, but he would never put out. He was like, oh, let's just dance. Oh, let's just talk over here. Let's have some wine, blah, blah, blah. And then I slept with Mizora, and that pissed him off real bad. So
I didn't even know you could do that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, you don't really sleep with her. You kind of float with her. It's weird, but anyway.
Gotcha. I was very anti-Mizora in my playthrough because she was fucking with multiple characters in my party. Yeah. So I was like, can you just like leave? And then the other sexual escapade was the one in Raphael's palace.
Yeah, like the or whatever.
Yeah, his plaything or whatever.
Which is just him.
Yeah. It was very funny.
Is it really?
It's his voice actor and everything. It looks just like him.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
My character almost died during that. You have to pass a check to not like literally get fucked to death.
That's
awesome.
My gosh.
That's incredible.
It's like I don't know if it's like a concentration or willpower or something like that, but like the text is saying like you are losing control of yourself, like you have to snap back into reality here or you'll never come back. So
incredible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really good.
If you sleep with Halsin, I mean, this is like the famous one, but he turns into a bear in the middle of it.
Yeah. So I tried to do this when it was like time to hook up with Shadowheart. I tried to turn my character into an animal and you can't. So I was like, I think it's going to happen the next time I talk with her at night in the camp. So I'm going to turn into a badger and then do the long rest. And it just doesn't work. You turn back into human form when you go back into camp.
Cowards.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to draw and animate a badger having sex with a human. Like, what's wrong with you people?
They'll do it for a bear, but not a badger. That's just
exactly.
That seems that's problematic. Yeah. So okay. Act 3. So Act 3 starts outside of the city. And then Act 3 is all within the city of Baldur's Gate. It is wildly dense with stuff to do. It's probably has the most side quests of any of the 3 acts. There is so much going on here. The main thing is that there are 2 people that have the Netherstones named Gortash and Orin. Gortash has weaseled his way into power within the city. And Orin is just this fucking bloodthirsty shapeshifter lady. And I don't really know what she wants other than to kill people. Actually, I do know what she wants. She's a ball spawn. So she wants to help Ball come back or something like that. Mm-hmm. So speaking of Orin, you meet Saravak in Act 3, another returning character from Baldur's Gate 1. He was the bad guy in Baldur's Gate 1, and then came back in the Throne of Ball DLC for Baldur's Gate 2, I think, if I remember right. Saravak's really hard. Anytime you get into a fight, and it's like, you're capped at level 12, and it's like, oh, Saravak's level 16. Good luck. Like, that was a really tough fight. But it was crazy to see Saravak as another returning character, and like very small benefits from playing Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, but that was one of them. When I walked in the room and it was like Saravak with this like deep badass voice talking to me, and I was like, oh no, he's back.
I really liked in Rivington where Orin could, because she's a doppelganger, could appear all over the city as different people. That really offered it was kind of freaky the first few times I saw it happen, and really made her a pretty, I think, imposing, like, scary presence.
Yeah. You like talk to a blacksmith and then it turns out it was her, And she's just like, haha, I can do this shit whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
So does she always kidnap somebody?
Yeah.
Okay. So in my game, she kidnapped Halsin, which was lucky for me because I had never used Halsin.
Yeah. Throwaway character.
Yeah. Well, because
just kidding.
Like, I was a druid, so I didn't need another druid in the party. Who did she kidnap for you guys?
She kidnapped Gale.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I don't use Gale, but I know that he's kind of a big part of the story, so it was like very pressing for me to save him.
Retweet. I was a wizard, so I wasn't using Gale, but Will and Karlak had left my party. I had to kill Lae'zel, so like there was no one else for her to probably kidnap but Gale.
Right.
And then unfortunately Gale died. Like I wasn't able to. I got to the temple. He was alive, but then she killed him, and he was gone.
Yeah, she killed the fuck out of Halsin, like brutally killed him in my game. Like I got there, but I couldn't remember. I don't remember what it is you have to do to save the person that she kidnaps, but I was not able to do that. And Halsin got stabbed up like 100 times. Mm-hmm. It was pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her character's very interesting. I don't know. I like that kind of like psycho weirdo aspect of a character, and I'm glad that she like her shit wasn't pushed too much into the game, because it feels like one of those characters that, you know, if they're on screen too much, then it can get a little overwhelming. But when she does come on screen, she is very sort of impactful. I remember she posed as like a reporter. For me, like I think right in front of the Worms Crossing, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think my character kind of figured it out that it wasn't a real reporter, kind of mid conversation, because she would ask weird questions, and then my character, one of the dialogue options was like, "Yeah, these questions are kind of strange. Who exactly are you reporting for?" And she like shifted back into Orin and then disappeared. But
nice. I thought her character was cool too, because I'm not always down for a like psycho killer with no other type of personality character. Like, those kind of rub me the wrong way. But having the context from Baldur's Gate 2 or Baldur's Gate 1, both of those, where she is a follower of or a descendant of Baal, because she's Saravok's granddaughter, and Saravok is a Baal spawn. Baal is the god of murder. So if you're following Baal, the teachings of Baal or whatever, then that's what you are. You are a bloodthirsty murderer, basically. So I thought that, like, you know, that just snapped right into place with things that I already knew. So that worked really well for me. It was like, yeah, of course she's a bloodthirsty maniac. She is a worshiper and a descendant of the god of murder, which I always think is just a wonderful god to have in your lore, right? Like the god of murder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a pantheon.
Did you guys read a lot of like books and letters and stuff like that you picked up along the way?
Yeah, no, I kept like a library. Like in my stash was a bag where I kept all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, there's like 400 things in there that I mean, there's like, if you go into Orin's, like, well, I'm using air quotes here, bedroom, right, because it's not really a bedroom. There's some like really good stuff. Actually, all throughout that like little temple, there's really good like books and parchments and things like that, papers that kind of give you more insight into like how weird she is, which was interesting.
You can speak to dead and talk to that corpse in there. It's her mother. And
I need to do that more on my next playthrough, because I always forget that that's like a thing.
Me too.
You can talk to her mom. That's crazy.
And it's actually, that's a lot of fun, because her mom is like, oh, you know, she killed me, but I was trying to kill her, because they're all followers of Baal. Like
they're all just trying to kill each other.
Exactly. If you are not the Dark Urge and you go into what is her bedroom, there is a corpse of a white dragonborn laying on the ground. That is the Dark Urge.
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
So they exist in the game, even if you don't play as them. They are just dead by the time you meet them.
Interesting. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something special that happens if you go there when you are the Dark Urge?
No, I guess I'll just like dump that part here. When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are the Dark Urge, it turns out you are a ball spawn.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and then you actually are like Ball's chosen. So he favored you, and you have like this little servant. Like it's like a goblin that looks like, if you ever saw the Bond movie, Live and Let Die. It looks like someone made Baron Samedi in that as a goblin, and he's like your butler. And he just shows up in to like talks to you sometimes. Well, if you are the Dark Urge, you wind up finding out that you are actually the one that concocted the whole scheme. You're the one that found the colony of mind flayers. You were like, if we tadpole everyone and then use this nether crown, steal it, put it on a nether brain, and then we could control everyone. And so you convinced Gortash to go with you. And then along the way, Orin basically kind of betrays you, flips the script on you, captures you, and tadpoles you. And that's why you have no memories.
Okay.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Like, I like, because that's the plot of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is you're a ball spawn, and you're working your way through, and eventually at the end of Baldur's Gate 2, you can get like that, or during Baldur's Gate 2, you can get that Slayer form that Orin turns into in the fight where you fight her.
Yep.
You can do that too. And there is a lot of stuff, especially in the Throne of Ball DLC in Baldur's Gate 2, about like fighting against your nature or accepting your nature as a ball spawn and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I guess maybe I should have figured out that was what that Dark Urge was, is that ball spawn nature, that like chaotic evil type of nature there. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't mean chaotic evil as in I know D&D alignments, just like literally chaotic evil, just fuck it, kill everybody.
And you're like eating everyone too, as the Dark Urge. Like you're always eating body parts.
Yeah. So that's cool, and a nice way to tie in with what those first two games were about.
Mm-hmm. And as the Dark Urge, I can tell you, you really do feel like you're the main character. Like it's almost like there's more game included with it. Because of how much more you can do. And so if you, whether or not you embrace it, and if you do embrace it, you get the Slayer form in this game.
Right.
If you go against it, Ball will actually kill you. And then it turns out that Withers is Jurgle, who is the old god of death, who's stepped aside. And he steps in and he's like, nope, this ain't happening, revives you, and you are no longer bound to your dark urges.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah, Withers really late in the game, like you go through the game and you got to think like there's something going on with Withers, but when you find out later what Withers what he really is, you're like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense."
Yeah.
He's been here for this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
When you say find out what he is, the only thing I thought like was after the credits. I don't know, maybe just because I don't know the lore well enough, but it doesn't seem like it really tells you who he is. It just kind of shows that like he kind of knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe I just read it wrong, but
no, Chris, you're totally
I don't
right.
think so.
It's super obtuse and it doesn't tell you. The only reason I knew it is because I do know D&D lore. So like,
gotcha.
Jurgle, usually because new gods can kind of be created, and sort of to be a god, all you need is followers. But like if you're going to try and inhabit the same domain as another god, like be the god of murder, then you gotta knock off Ball, you know?
Right.
Sure.
So Jurgle, usually like to be a new god, there's a bit of a bloodbath that has to happen. Jurgle was the old god of death, and then when a new one stepped up, he, instead of fighting him, he literally just stepped aside and was like, whatever, dude, like you take over, I'll just hang out.
Nice.
Interesting. He kind of, I mean, he's not the narrator, but he kind of shapes the way things happen a little bit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. Okay, so other stuff in Act 3. So we talked about Orin. Gortash, I he kept trying to make deals with me, and I just refused all his deals. And Karlak fucking hates Gortash. And Karlak was in my party, and she is the best girl. So we just waltzed up into Gortash's place after doing the quest to disable all the Steel Watchers, which was another really hard boss fight, by the way. And all of the halflings that were in there, they died. Nobody made it out of there. Not because of me, just because, they got killed by the giant robots. So I did that, disabled all the Steel Watchers, and then went up and just whipped the fuck out of Gortash. He stood no chance in the fight against me. And that gave a nice character moment with Karlak because she was super focused on killing him and getting revenge on him. And she has kind of like a scene where she realizes that getting that revenge didn't fix any of the problems that she had. And she still has this engine in her heart that's going to burn out. And it was just a really good emotional scene when she's like talking her way through that. The voice actor for Karlak is just like so good. So that was how that went with Gortash in my game. It was a little anticlimactic how quickly I killed him, but I guess getting up to where he was a bit of a thing too.
Yeah, I fucked that shit up on accident. Well, I didn't really fuck it up. I just, like, sometimes the quests, the way that they read out, because you have multiple things that want you to kill and or save something, it got a little confusing for me. So I had killed Oren, and I guess I made a deal with Gortash that I would team with him, but I wouldn't give him my Netherstones. And I don't remember how that went to be because it's not something that I thought that I chose to do. But anyway, I thought, okay, well, I can still kill him, right? Like I can still walk up there and just kill him. But the quest said like, oh, disable the Steel Watch and do that. So I went and did that, which I guess, did you say the Steel Watcher boss fight was difficult?
Yeah, the big one. Yeah,
that was the one that he literally didn't even attack.
Nice.
Jeez.
I think I just like between having like fly and I had one warlock spell that's it like blinds and slows.
Oh my gosh, Hunger of Hadar. That spell is crazy.
It's nuts. So I had like one watch. I killed one watcher like before combat for two of my characters started, which was kind of funny. Asterion did most of the damage, and then I think I did like a cleric spell or something. But anyway, so I got that Hunger of Hadar, and then they were just sitting in there and flew behind him with Lae'zel. Got like 6 or 9 attacks off with Lae'zel. And then he was like blinded and slowed, so he couldn't do anything. And so like my next turn came up and I just was no problem. Like I left this fight unscathed. So it was kind of funny. But I did that and then found out, oh, I need to talk to this dude to like free the prisoners, the little gnome upstairs. So like then I went back up to there and did that, found where the prison was, went to the prison, which the Iron Throne was, in my opinion, that's one of the coolest sequences in the game.
Yeah, the one where you have to make like the timed escape out of there.
Yeah, and save as many
that was good.
people as
that was
possible.
really good.
So I tried not to save scum too much. I did it, and I saved the Duke, but I was like, I kind of want to save more people. I want to save LM. Let's just see if I can get everybody. So I went and tried to do that, but that made it take like an hour, or longer. I ended up losing one person. I activated everyone. Like I opened all the cells. I rezzed the one chick. I got the Mind Flayer dude and the Duke. I even saved the Duke by throwing potions on him when he was about to die.
Yep.
Because he didn't have a healer near him. Asterion had potions, so I threw them on him. That was kind of fun. But one chick got the opportunity attacked by some fishy boys, unfortunately, and she died. But anyway, I tried to save as many people as possible. That was a really cool one. But then by the time I got back to Gortash, the quest was like, oh, meet me at the moon pool or whatever it's called. Basically at the Elder Brain. So I was like, well, I'll just kill him there.
Wow.
Like in my head, I was like, there'll be dialogue options. I can kill him there and take his Netherstone. But that didn't happen. It like went to the whole sequence. But
Interesting.
Then another brain killed Ketheric and snapped his neck in a second. That was really kind of fun to watch too. So
Oh, you mean Gortash?
oh yeah. So another brain killed Gortash.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. We're kind of like working together sort of to like cast spells on the nether brain. But once he like took the nether stones, she was just like, yeah, not gonna happen. And just like his neck just like snapped and he fell to the ground, and that was the end of him. So,
nice.
That's really cool.
I forgot to write down.
Wasn't my intention, but yeah.
I forgot to write down the Iron Throne quest, but my people did not make it out. So like a lot of the prisoners made it back to the submarine, and then Shadowheart made it back to the submarine, but my other 3 party members didn't. So
they washed up on the beach.
So they washed up on the beach and they were all dead. And luckily it was Shadowheart, the one that survived, because she has magic that can bring people back, and she had some scrolls to bring everybody back. But yeah, it was like 3 of my party members are dead on the beach. Shadowheart has like 5 HP. Like, you're alone in the city. So it was funny that that's how that played out, instead of just being like, they're perma-dead, or you just like get a game over because like my main character died in that, and you have to start over. But yeah, that was funny. Like Shadowheart like scrambling to revive everybody on the beach. Everyone's just like chugging potions and stuff.
I had my party all split up. Like I put Asterion to go clear one wing, put Lae'zel to go clear the other wing. And,
I did that too.
Yeah.
And people just did not make it back in time.
Oh no.
So Jim, did you side with Gortash or Orin?
I tried to just, because again, my guy was like, no one's going to stand in my way. So when I would meet them, I'd try to just instantly fight them.
Right.
And Orin flees you a bunch. I tried to fight Gortash at his coronation. And I tried that so many different ways, and it just did not work. Because you've got like 10 Steel Watchers in there. It's like, good luck.
Yeah.
So I eventually did side with him, but was planning on betraying him. So I didn't like, I never saw that where you take him to the Netherbrain and then it snaps. That's really cool. No, I just like went and killed Orin and then went and killed him. I was kind of doing, because like, it's like, whatever, I'm evil. So I was like lock-picking my way around the city. And so I accidentally found the Iron Throne before I even found the Steel Watch Foundry. And so like all of a sudden it's just like there's a prison break and I'm like, wait, what? But I mean, my guy, because he's a bastard, he went in and I didn't free anyone. I basically just like got what I needed and got out.
Nice. Oh, okay. So here's one thing that happened. The Duke died in the prison break. He didn't make it back to the sub. But then he's alive later because I think it's Mizora has him. And like part of Will's quest line for me was to sacrifice the Duke, or I think it's like sacrifice Will's life to go serve her again or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he died, like he quote died in that prison, but he was still available for a story choice later on.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I did hear that the game had quite a lot of bugs when it first came out. And so that's kind of maybe especially Act 3 had a lot of weird stuff going on. I'm kind of happy that I ended up playing it a little bit later. Because I think a lot of stuff got fixed. So I had a pretty good, thorough experience.
But it is, I mean, Act 3 especially is such a tangled web of quests that like, if, something was supposed to flag that he's dead and it didn't, then, I'll forgive them for that. Let's talk about Raphael.
Hell has its laws. Hell. effect in the cause. Curtain falls, but hold your applause. Squirm, squirm, for now down here come the claws.
We haven't talked about him yet, but if you're just following along because you don't care about spoilers and you made it to 3.5 hours in the podcast, love you very much. Raphael is a literal devil who kind of shows up throughout the game saying that he can fix you, he can fix the tadpole problem, but he is a devil and he is a trickster, and notably you have at least one party member made a deal with the devil and it fucked up his whole life. So you are like at least discouraged from dealing with Raphael. So Jim and Chris, or I assume that you didn't deal with Raphael based on the way you've talked about how that boss fight goes later on.
No. That was the one boss fight that really, like, I was struggling.
Right. But like, so you didn't take him up on any of his offers.
I told him I would, but then I went and destroyed my contract.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Jim, did you ever like take him up on the offers?
No, my character would never side with, he was on his own team.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So all of us did the House of Hope then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is a wild dungeon. So it starts out, there's a character trapped there named Hope, who you kind of get these like really cryptic and erratic instructions from of how to get out of there. And my character was also there because I told Orpheus, the Githyanki prince, I told the other person that I would get the hammer from the House of Hope to free Orpheus. So that's why I was there in the first place. And I didn't figure out a way to get the hammer without just walking up and taking it off the pedestal. So that's what I did. And everybody aggroed in there. And it's tough in there because there's a mini boss fight against, I think it's 2 beholders.
Yep. Oh gosh.
And and you can't rest in the House of Hope because everyone was fucking aggroed. So I had to use all of my like potions that simulate a long rest or a short rest or all of those after fighting my way up to that and then doing the beholder fight just to get myself like halfway prepped because you're going to have to fight Raphael at the end of it. And the final boss has like extra stuff that it's doing to make it difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like the Raphael fight is the hardest straight up boss fight in the entire game.
I'd agree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my experience, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with any of the bosses except for that. Well, I one-shot the boss. I mean, not one shot, but I didn't have to. I didn't kill him in one hit. I did it in one go, right? But it was the one that I was like, oh shit, this might not actually work. Like I might die here. Like,
yeah.
If I didn't have Hope, if I hadn't saved her, like definitely would not have been able to pull that off.
Yeah. Did you have to use the divine intervention?
I just used it to get the legendary weapon to see what it was.
Okay.
I also saw if you do radiant damage to Raphael, then it does like double to the person who casts a spell. So I didn't want Hope to die. And so I did not want to cast that spell. The big damaging one.
Oh, okay. Divine intervention can do a lot of different things. Like you can pick what it does, right?
It's like 4 different things.
Yeah. So I had to use it in the Raphael fight to just simulate a long rest. That's what I chose to do. And that turned the tide of the fight. Like I was out of spell slots. I was out of items. I was out of throwable stuff. I was out of scrolls. I used everything in that fight. And I got to maybe like the 2/3 point. And I remembered that Shadowheart had a divine intervention in my game. So I used it to do the long rest, and that turned the tide, and it was fine after that because I had all my spells back. I forgot that Hope had it, and like after that, I was like, fuck, I should have used Hope's and saved Shadowheart's because I don't know if there's going to be something harder. Luckily, there wasn't something that required it later, but that's the only time in the game where I felt that desperation where it was like, okay, I'm breaking the glass in case of emergency and using this. It was so fucking hard. And all the while that song is playing on and he's fucking singing.
Hell has its laws.
Yeah, his Disney villain ass theme song. It's so good.
It was incredible.
So funny.
Yeah, I love that they gave him, because that woman starts singing and you're like, okay, like he's got a different boss fight, and then he starts singing on his own
doing
track.
the background. He's doing the soundtrack to his own boss fight.
So hilarious. They really knocked it out of the park. I think he is intended to be the hardest boss fight because he's kind of optional. Like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
There is a lot of this is an interesting thing. There's a lot of really, really good items in House of Hope. Like some really OP stuff in there. But you don't get it after you kill the boss. You get it before. So it's like, it's not a reward, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Except for his armor, which is also kind of busted.
Yeah, true. Like Staff of Spell Power, the Charisma Necklace, like massive. I don't know.
Yeah, you get, there is an amulet that gives you a bunch of health, I think, in there.
23 Constitution.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That one's crazy.
That's what I meant. Necklace of Constitution.
I think that's the place where I got the item that could make Karlach into a giant, which really helped.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some really badass stuff in. Oh no,
good stuff.
there is I think it's like gauntlets of like super strength or something in there. So
23.
Giving that to Karlach and then turning her into a giant also was she was just not wrecking Raphael, but all of his like minions in there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Raphael was a real bastard. Like, I had to use every consumable item I had, all my potions, everything. It was so hard.
Yeah, he stretches you
awesome.
thin. He does so much damage. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of lucky, like the pillars. So the one thing is, I feel like a lot of the bosses you can kind of just like focus fire down the boss, and that's probably a better option than letting it attack you. Like the more turns the boss gets, probably the worse.
Yeah,
you'll be off. Whereas like any other game that I usually play, it's like kill the ads first, like kill the small guys first, and then take care of the boss. Because like you can get rid of most of the damage on the board. But I feel like with Baldur's Gate 3, it's like a lot of them, the damage that the boss will output or their special abilities or whatever will absolutely annihilate you if you let them get too many of them off. So this was one of the fights where you couldn't really do that because he had so much resistance with the pillars up. You had to take those pillars down. And even to that, like he did a lot more damage with the pillars up. So yeah, I like luckily being Warlock with Eldritch Blast, those are force damage.
Yep.
They took the pillars out pretty quick. I had Shadowheart Misty stepping around because she has a mace and like doing damage to those. She had like her mace, her summon spirit weapon or whatever up as a mace, like also just like killing these pillars. It was very, very funny. But
in the third time I went to go fight him, because I knew it was going to happen, I prepped the boss room. So I just walked in there, dropped the bomb that you get that you're going to use at the Steel Watch Foundry, and then just loaded that place with there's a fireworks place in the city.
Yeah.
And in the basement, there's like a bajillion smoke powder barrels. So I literally loaded the whole room with it. And then when the boss fight started, I mean, who knows if I hadn't have been able to do this, but I was lucky enough to go first, cast a spell of Globe of Invulnerability on my guys, drank a potion of haste, and then chucked a fire thing into the room, and just everything exploded. And it still didn't kill Raphael, but it took out the pillars and it took out a bunch of his guys.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Nice.
It was great.
you have the big demon dude on your side too, Yugiri or whatever his name is.
I convinced him with my Dark Urge like halfling bard to join me. He doesn't help that much.
Yeah, no, he was pretty useless in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Not useless, but yeah, maybe did like a total 30 damage the whole fight. Like,
yeah, he doesn't do much.
Yeah, I had to kill that guy, unfortunately. So, yeah, that is the House of Hope. I got the Orphic Hammer, so I was going to use that to free Orpheus. So I did that. But before we talk about that, because that kind of like ties in with the rest of the game, did you guys find Minsk and get him on your team?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
You did not. Okay.
No. There's a lot of things in Baldur's, like in Act 3, that I wanted to do, but I kind of was not rushing, but kind of left side quests a little bit on the wayside just to finish up and make sure I was ready for the podcast.
Yeah, that makes sense. Minsk is you probably know about Minsk, Jim, from other D&D stuff, but yeah, he was a prominent party character in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and he is a larger than life personality. So I was happy to see him in Baldur's Gate 3, happy to see Boo and all of the jokes and conversations that come with talking with Minsk. I didn't end up using him at all. I just didn't have a place for. He's a ranger by default, I think, in Baldur's Gate 3, and I didn't have a place for that. My party was like completely set in stone. Like I had a well-oiled machine between the Druid and Shadowheart, and then the Lae'zel and Karlach up in melee range. So I didn't use them.
It is kind of a shame that they bring him in so late because, yeah, your tactics, like you said, everything is you know how you're going to approach a fight. You know, someone's going to do this first, and then next person's going to do that, and this is how I fight. This is how I'm geared out. This is what I'm meant to do. And all of a sudden you get a character that is famous kind of late in the game. It's like, oh man, but I'd sort of like to use him, but you're right. There's no spot.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see the other stuff in Act 3.
Did either of you guys have Asterion in your party?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't.
His story, really, really enjoyed that. The Cazador fight itself was tough.
Very hard.
Yeah, the ensuing RP that came after was heart-wrenching. Because I like Asterion as a character quite a lot. So yeah, just he also has a sort of a psychotic break moment where he stabs Cazador 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It was really good. But did you choose, I'm sure in your evil run, you chose to turn Asterion?
Oh, he ascended. He's a vampire lord.
Oh, nice. I want to do that, I think, on my next run. I don't want to use Asterion again for my party, but I want to see I read the abilities you get online. They look really, really cool.
The upgrade is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I didn't have Asterion in my party, but I did pull him out just to finish the quest, just to see what would happen. So, yeah, we did the fight. That was another really hard fight, just because, like, anytime you have less than your full 4 people in the party is tough.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that, and then I think I either passed a check or I just straight up told him not to ascend, and he got mad and he left my party forever and never came back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I like took the choice away from him, and so he just kind of said, you know what? I'm through with you. I'm out of here. Which I was like, you know what? I helped you kill Cazador. Like I don't know. You're not satisfied with that at all. But yeah, he left. I never saw him again.
You can judge me if you want, but I had the same outcome the first time, so I saved Scrum that because he's just part of my party.
Oh yeah,
that was one of my favorite characters, so I definitely wanted to get him back. So I had to do the fight again. It was a little easier the second time once I knew what was going on, but
right.
Yeah.
I guess this is a good time to talk about the character quests because a lot of them wrap up in the city itself. So, did you guys do Shadowheart's quest?
Yeah, and who's Viconia? Like, is she from BG1 or 2 or?
I don't remember that name, but there are a million people in those games. So
okay, she's the Drow like High Mother of the Sharans,
right? Okay,
but I have done her quest line. I thought it was very good. As evil, I made her kill her parents and just like horrible. And then at that point, she's literally just like Shar's chosen. As good, I actually really liked how she gets to reunite with her parents and like she sort of I don't know, gets her childhood back in a way, because she was taken, like everything was stolen from her, basically.
Yeah, she got taken away from her parents, and that confrontation basically ended with her parents convincing her to let them go so that she can continue on. I also had the Shadow Heart where she changed to blonde halfway through the game.
Yeah.
So she had turned off of the path of Shar in my game, basically. So she freed herself of Shar's curse, and I let her decide what she wanted to do, and she decided. I think this was after Asterion, maybe, or maybe I just cared more about Shadowheart. I let her decide, like straight up, just said, "I'm not deciding for you," and she decided to let her parents die, basically, because they were being tortured. And she decided that she did not want to remember everything in her past, because she has a memory wipe situation going on. And I know that we haven't done like a great job, not that we've tried, but we haven't fully explained like the character backstories, but she didn't remember much of anything leading up to the events of the game, other than that she's in this following of Shar, and she decided that she doesn't want to remember all of that, because I think she had a feeling that there would be pain and suffering that would be uncovered that way. So she's just going to move on.
Well, I think in the speech that Shar gives, she mentions too, like, oh, your parents have suffered a lot of pain and blah, 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 by your own hand. Like talking to Shadowheart, basically telling her, like, you also tortured and did bad shit to your own parents. Like,
right.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't want to remember that either.
So that is what happened with Shadowheart.
And then you can't do Mirror of Loss with her, which was annoying.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Mirror of Loss. If you turn on Shar, you can't benefit from Mirror of Loss with Shadowheart.
Oh, okay.
It like just turns you away, tells you to fuck off.
Let's see. Will, I think I already said what happened with Will in mine. He had to let his father die in order to like not be taken down into the hells or something like that. And it was another one where like I think his father was on board with it, but I don't remember. It's been a while. Also, Will was not in my party for most of the game. I just pulled him back in the party to do the quests. I did do a cool quest with Will where you fight a zombie dragon, so that was cool.
Yeah, Answer.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you take him into that
was awesome.
cave to do that quest?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, I'm curious what the like unique dialogue was like with him actually in the. I did that quest, but he wasn't in the party, so.
He gets completely overwritten by the Emperor and Answer, because like so like even when Will is there, the moment you meet Answer's like, no, fuck you, like I'm talking to that guy.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Because the Emperor and Answer have like a long history, and you find out that the Emperor is the founder of Baldur's Gate, who decided that he wanted to become a mind flayer at some point. So the big like conclusion with that was that Will decided that he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. And so that was what happened with him in my game, is he became the new Duke Ravengard after the whole story of the game was over.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that happened in mine as well. And then when I saved the Duke and brought him back, I was expecting Will to be like upset, but there was good dialogue between the two.
Oh, that's good.
It is good. His father still says like, yeah, all right, yeah, you're the Duke. You're going to be the Duke. All hail this guy.
Oh,
Duke Ravengard Will or whatever. So that's really nice. Yeah, it was a touching moment, I guess.
Nice.
On my good playthrough, Will, I let Duke Ravengard live, and Will like was not going to be the Duke, and so at the very end, I'm really kind of skipping here. Karlach, you kind of have to choose whether or not she dies on the plane, or if she can choose to go back to the hells, and maybe continue to live. And so on one of those playthroughs, Will actually steps up and is like, "Nah, dude, I'll go with you." And then I decided to go too. So, and like the three of us went down, and there's a cutscene of like the three of you just like adventuring through Avernus together.
Hell yeah.
So
Nice.
That's crazy.
It was like kind of fun. It was like the journey continued.
Yeah. In my game, I think Shadowheart's side quest was the most interesting from like a, sequence of events that happens and like conversations that you have with her. I think hers is the most interesting that way. Karlak's is the one that I cared about the most because I liked Karlak like so much. She's great. And I tried everything the game suggested to find a solution to the engine burning up, but nothing worked. And I don't think anything can work.
Except going back to Avernus.
Right.
That's the only thing.
Right. And Karlak said, so in my game, Will had decided he was going to be the new Duke in the city. Karlak talked like the whole game about how she didn't want to go back to Avernus at all. Mm-hmm. So there's a conversation where you can talk about this stuff with her, and I never really like pushed that. So she burned up and exploded at the end of my game. And it's a really like touching cutscene because, again, the voice acting for Karlak is really good. She talks about how proud she is of how she spent the time that she had before it all burned up. And it's just interesting to me that like what I think is probably the fan favorite character other than maybe Asterion doesn't really have a happy ending, because going to Avernus is not a happy ending for her. She just gets to live longer. And then the one where she doesn't have to go back, she dies, and that's it. And I thought this was an interesting thing to do with this character. But I like it. I like when you have a tragic character and you don't have a happy ending for everybody. And there really is no happy ending for her.
I really like a lot of the characters get a bittersweet ending. Hers being, yes, the most impactful, because if you choose the ending that she objectively wants, which is not to go back to Avernus, she will die.
Yeah.
But even for all your other characters, like if Asterion does not ascend and you wind up going the good path, he's still a vampire. He can't live in daylight.
Right.
If you choose to ascend, he has sort of gone evil and changed. Shadowheart has to kill her parents. Will, potentially has lost his father. Like all of them have a bittersweet ending. This journey will take something from you.
Yeah. And everybody started out.
Gale's ending was kind of all right. In mine, he became a god. He was pretty happy.
Oh, did
about
he?
That. Yeah.
Okay, Gale's chilling then. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he lost anything, honestly. I didn't play him throughout the game at all, almost.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, all the side characters start the game with like a really fucked up, tragic backstory in some way. And yeah, most of them didn't have super happy endings. Like Shadowheart watched her parents die. Will watched his father die. In my game, Gale, like that one seemed unresolved in my game. I'm not sure what happened with him. He said he was going to look for the crown, basically, because the crown sunk down into the water or something like that. So he said he was going to look for it, and that's how it ended. But yeah, Karlak died. Asterion left the party, and he's, like you said, always going to be a vampire. So yeah, I like what they did here. And I saw people complaining that like the fan favorite character doesn't have a happy ending, or that you can't fix the engine and save Karlak. And just seemed kind of childish to me to like not accept that this character can't have a happy ending. It was really powerful because Karlak's great. She's super likable. And the conversations that you have with her throughout Act 3, and then right before the moment where she dies, she gets emotional. She, talks to you about the time you've spent together. She talks about how lucky she is to have spent time in the party with you, even if you're not romantically involved, which we weren't. And then, yeah, just time runs out. It was really good.
Did you not have the like little party at the end?
I did, but the party at the end, like Karlak doesn't come back.
Sure. But Gale does. He said he went to go look for the crown and he didn't come back as a god for you? I mean, there's no like cutscene that shows him becoming a god from my thing. He just said, "Oh, I'm going to go look for the thing."
Right.
And I told him,
okay,
"Hey,
and
man,
then
good luck." And then he came back to the party as a god.
Okay. He might have, I don't remember. I didn't write down notes from that from that epilogue. Other than there was a conversation with Withers about like the possibility of seeing Karlach again somewhere in some other like plane or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's all I really wrote down. Oh, okay. So I'll save that until the end. There's one more thing about that ending party, but we've got some ground to cover before there.
Sure.
Do you have to get the Orphic hammer?
No.
No? Okay.
Because I didn't do it the first time.
Okay, so I did. I freed Orpheus, and we decided we're going to take the fight to the Elder Brain. So you go to the Elder Brain. You have a bunch of checks, basically, to resist being dominated, or actually, you're trying to dominate the Elder Brain. The last one has a DC of 99, which was funny to see. Just be like, yeah, you're not passing this. I guess if you roll a 20, you could pass that.
Yep.
I'm curious, do you know what happens if you do roll a 20 there?
The start of the boss where you fight the brain itself is missing like 20% of its health.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not like a massive thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. So I went to try and free Orpheus, and the Emperor is like totally opposed to this. And so the Emperor decided that he was going to go help the Elder Brain out. So the Emperor left, and you get a choice because for some reason, I don't remember why, I didn't write it down, but somebody has to turn into a Mind Flayer at the end. Do you guys remember why?
They make some claimant about how the reason you're losing to the Elder Brain is because as an Illithid, it has more, like literally more brain power than you, and it's just outthinking you. So you have to become Illithid.
Okay, either you or Orpheus.
Yes.
Yeah, they mentioned something like, "Oh, when it was an Elder Brain, we could have done this, but it has grown to another brain, so now it's too powerful. We need our psionic powers, essentially."
Right. Okay.
And it seemed like those are the only options, was you or Orpheus.
Yeah.
If you side with the Emperor and you don't free Orpheus, you can just let the Emperor be your Illithid.
Okay, that makes sense.
When you did your Elo run, did you let the Emperor eat Orpheus's brains?
No, I became an Illithid and I ate his brains. It was all for me.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chris, what did you do here?
I sided with Orpheus. I broke him out and ended up fighting the Emperor in the last battle.
Did you become the Illithid, or did you have Orpheus do it?
Oh, I let Orpheus do it. Yeah.
Okay.
I like my character too much. I kind of plan on my sort of next run, my evil run, or my like dominant power run to become the Illithid. But
okay, I became the Illithid in my game as kind of like a noble sacrifice, and then I regretted it the second I did it because I was like, Orpheus is a dick. He should have done it.
I knew I would regret it if I did it. So
he's the one who looks he looks too goofy with a beard, by the way. Yeah. So my character became the Mind Flayer, and your Illithid powers are like really fucking good. So there's a bunch of fighting you have to do between here and like the final boss fight, and I just like smashed those fights with my character's Illithid powers. It kind of sucked I couldn't do druid stuff anymore, but the Illithid powers were so good. Maybe I could. I don't remember.
Like if you transform Orpheus, he still keeps his monk abilities. Well, some of them. Maybe just the key. Is that it?
I don't know. I mean, I was still a wizard.
Okay, maybe I'm misremembering that then, and I just didn't because I was, using the Illithid blasts all over the place.
Right. The black hole in that sequence is really overpowered.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of, like, especially in the first bit of that fight, there's so many enemies that come up at once, the little brains and everything.
Yeah.
There's like 20 enemies on the map, and you can just delete 15 of them in one move with the Orpheus.
There's an interesting scene here because my character was transformed. There's a scene where your character gives like a speech. I assume if you're doing the good playthrough, I don't know about the evil playthrough, but you do like a speech to like rally the troops. But if you're in Illithid form, everyone just kind of looks at you weird. They're like, what is this guy? So that was kind of interesting and probably different if you were not transformed there.
The different people you can have in that room is really kind of funny. So like if you spend your time in Act 3, you can build up all this crew that is there, But if you go the evil playthrough, but like you're like evil, but like trying to go for allies as well, you can be given that speech to Auntie Ethel and Yrgir and like Viconia and all the Sharans and like you can just have all these evil people, like this weird hodgepodge of people you put together, give them the speech and then run into the fight.
Auntie Ethel could be in there? What?
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, when I did that one, I just gave a little speech and everyone cheered. It was fine. My thing is I got a bunch of the followers together, or a bunch of the allies, but I totally forgot to use them.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
I didn't use a single one of them in the entire fight.
Good for you. I dumped them on the dragon because I was like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm just going right to the portal. But I mean, kudos to you for doing all that by yourself. That's a huge battle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it was. I think like I heard the term action economy. And I didn't really know what it meant the first time I heard it. And then I heard later, like, well, the bigger it is, the more powerful you are. And so I kind of just spent my Act 3 kind of forming my strategy around having as many basically weapon swings or actions as possible. And I think just like having haste and having, the dual hand crossbows, Lae'zel having like 6 to 9 attacks every turn. It just like a lot of the stuff, it really trivialized it. So I don't know if I kind of do that with games. I remember like one of my most memorable things with like Final Fantasy X, the last fight with Sin. Every single attack I was doing was just doing max damage, 99999 across the board. like I just do that when I play RPGs. I just make myself as powerful as possible for anything, and I just smash everything. But anyway,
I used the abilities from the allies, but I didn't use all of them. Like I used some, and especially in that fight against the dragon, or in that dragon area, I had to retry that fight with the dragon a lot of times to try to get everybody through the portal alive, basically.
Yep.
It's tough. And then I think inside I used a couple more abilities, and it took me a couple more tries to figure out like which platforms are going to disappear and stuff like that when you're fighting the actual brain. But when I actually did it, I had Karlach and Lae'zel shoot teleport arrows to get themselves down to the bottom like right away, and they just went to town on the brain and killed it like pretty quickly. But it took me a while to figure out how everything works in that, and then I had to get lucky with some rolls to even get everyone into that portal in the first place.
That is a tough fight, and it is really hard on honor mode.
Yeah, I bet.
that boss's special ability is each round, and you only get 5 rounds to take this thing out, and it's got like 450 health, so you need to do that much damage in 5 rounds, and if you've only got one person in there, it's still counting down even for your people on the outside.
Oh, right.
So each round in honor mode, it becomes completely immune to all types of damage that it took the round before.
Oh.
So I had Karlach. She had that, the trident, Nelrunia, if you guys found that. And so she was wearing the caustic ring. So when she would throw her spear, she would do fire damage from the soul coin. She would do thunder damage from the spear. She'd do piercing damage. She'd do acid damage. I think there was another type of damage that she'd be doing as well. She might have been doing psychic. And so all of a sudden, the next round, it became immune to all of that. And it's like, well, what do I do now? Like, it's immune to all this damage. So that was a very difficult fight on honor mode. And that almost ended my run.
Yeah, I bet. Jeez. So in my game, after that happened, after you beat the brain, I could command it to kill all the tadpoles and then destroy itself. Like you dominate it or something like that. That's what happened in my game. And then it crashes down in the city and you get like a cutscene of all the people in the streets killing all the mind flayers with like clubs and pitchforks and shit. So my ending is different because I was the Illithid and my ending revolved around the choice because I had become that. So before I talk about my ending, you guys, well, Jim, you've done it multiple ways, but you guys were still human. So what was your ending about? Like, was there a choice to be made or anything like that?
Chris, why don't you take this? Because I got a little bit of something here.
You got 4 endings to choose from, so yeah. Yeah, mine was very much like yours. That's what I call it, the kind of the Marvel endings, because like the city's kind of destroyed, but at least the big bad is gone, right? Like,
right.
The good guys won, essentially, I suppose. Yeah, in a way. I had the same thing. I chose for the nether brain to kill the parasites and die. There was a sort of a temptation. I mean, obviously, like we can play through the game as many times as we want, right? Or I could even just load the last save and like make me the thing if I really want to see what's going on, right? But yeah, that's kind of how my game ended. I thought it was all right, and then you're like on the docks talking to each person, and like one by one they're leaving you. So I'm just like, the fuck, is everybody just leaving me? Like, what's going on? Like, I didn't even know if there was game after this or not. Like, if there was anything, like you could go do some other quests or something, or walk around the city. Like some games do that. Once you kill the final boss, you can wander around a town or whatever. So I was curious if this was actually going to happen. But then, like, yeah, I think Lae'zel was the first person to leave. I let her choose. She was like given the task, like, do you want to become the next Orpheus, essentially? And I didn't nudge her either way. I just said, you choose. And she chose to take off on a dragon, which was kind of cool. And she like astral projects herself into the like little last party camp area, which is kind of fun. Yeah. And then everyone just like leaving. It was kind of weird the way that the way it played out. So it was like first Lae'zel left, and then I think Gale was like, well, I'm gonna go look for the crown, and like everyone just kind of seemed chill. And then like all of a sudden Karlach was like, my chest. Like she just appeared out of nowhere on the dock, and like, you know, she did her whole thing where she explodes and dies, and it was just like, wait, what? Where did you come from? Like yeah. And then all the other characters started showing up, and yeah, that was kind of a strange way that it all kind of wrapped up. But yeah, I had the Marvel ending.
Gotcha. So yeah, in my game too, Lae'zel left, but she went with Orpheus, and they wanted to go kill Vlaakith. So that's the quest they went on.
Orpheus was the mind flayer in mine, so he wanted me to kill him.
Oh, okay. So did you?
Actually, no. When he first decides to change to him, he said, like, promise me you're going to kill me when we're done with this killing the nether brain. And so like we're sitting on the docks, and he's saying like, oh, he gives me a dagger, and he's like, kill me, kill me, kill me. And it gives you a couple chances to kill him, but I chose not to both times. And then I guess there's a persuasion check that you have to roll for. And I convinced him not to do that, and then he just disappeared. I mean, he walked off, I guess, to go live like a hermit life or whatever.
I see. Okay. Yeah, and in my game, so Gale went to go find the crown. Karlach was dead. Astarion left. Shadowheart was still around. But so I had turned into the Illithid. So the thing at the end all revolved around what my character was going to do, because Mind Flayers, number one, nobody likes them because of, you know, everything that happened. But then also, apparently they will lose control of their like human faculties and like give in to their nature as Illithids and become these part of this, you know, hive mind type thing, right? So they gave me the choice of what to do. So you can embrace your nature as an illithid and just say, all right, fuck it. This is our new life. We do that. You can put yourself in prison. You can choose to kill yourself, or you can move on and like hope that things will be okay, but also like promise to yourself that you will kill yourself if you feel yourself losing control. So it's those 4 choices. And the last one is the one that I picked for my character, which is just basically like, well, we'll see what happens. And, if you start to lose it, then, we know what to do. So that's what we did.
At the end of the game, when you went to the party, were you still an illithid?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess now's as good a time as any. So the party at the end of the game is a nice reunion. You get to talk with everyone. People are drinking and partying. But during the party, I was talking with Jaheira, and my character got this urge to eat Jaheira's brain, and I had to pass a check to not do that during the party.
Really?
So, yeah. So I didn't see what would happen if you failed it, but that change, I think, is happening to the character. So you don't get to see what happens after that, but like that promise that like this will happen, they did put that in there to like remind you like, yeah, this will happen to you. So that was cool. It was really sudden during the party too. It was like suddenly you get an urge to eat her brain and like the dice are rolling and it's like, holy shit, what? But yeah, that was
oh my gosh,
that was my ending there. And including in the party, the only other thing from the party again was, a conversation about like the possibility of maybe seeing Karlach again. But I think that was Withers just being nice.
Yeah. In the good playthrough, by taking Will and Karlach and all of us going down to Avernus,
right.
All of them come back to the party and they make this big deal about, we found this forge and we think we're going to be able to fix Karlach down there.
Oh, okay.
And so like I was like, for sure we're getting DLC and it's going to be this,
right.
And then they just made that announcement. There's none. So
I'm a little sad. I heard the announcement about there not being any DLC before finishing the game. So yeah, I knew like every time that there was some sort of hint that there would be in the game, like in those last like couple hours. Man, I was just like, don't tease me like this. Don't tease me like this. I already know the answer to this question.
What they said actually, and it makes sense that they did leave the door open in certain places. They said that they started to work on the DLC and everyone was just like not feeling it. So they decided to stop.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Jumping tracks here. So the evil ending is actually kind of funny. So if you do decide to take control, like Minthara is like down. She's like, yeah, let's do this. Let's like evolve. But like it was the moment as things were happening, it was Asterion, who again is like this fully ascended vampire lord. He looks at me and he's like, wait, what are you doing? And like your response to him, you can choose it. It's like, oh, don't worry. You were always part of the plan. And then like everyone's like, no. And then if you take control of it, all of a sudden their eyes start glowing and they get these big smiles on their face. Like you've just totally mind controlled them and they're drones at that point. Like,
jeez.
So they're standing around you and you turn around and you sit down in the chair on the Netherbrain's head. And if you are the Tav, which is like the player character normally, then you say, in my name, and you like pound your fist down. Camera zooms out, it's horrible, and like all these illithids are like slowly rising towards the brain. If you are the Dark Urge and you have chosen to side with Baal and be his chosen, then you say in Baal's name, and it does the same thing. So this leads me into just another point, which is I do encourage anyone who's gone 4 hours and 13 minutes into this podcast and has not played, I do encourage everyone to do an evil playthrough at some point. And actually, if you haven't played the game yet, I know this sounds crazy, but be evil first, because when you go the good playthrough after doing this game so many times, I swear to God, the good playthrough has about 10% more game. Like, there are more things that you can do, more characters to interact with, more quest lines to do. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, the Dark Urge, I feel like, actually has about 5% more game on top of that. So if you're a good Dark Urge, I think that's the way that the game, not that there's any right way to play it, but if you want the most bang for your buck, I think that that's probably the way to do it. But these evil options change the game so much that playing it a second time as a good character was like playing a brand new game. It was
I'm excited to try it, honestly. Definitely, that's been my plan for the last couple of months, is like, okay, finish this one up. Definitely want to make that like Tavern Brawler Monk, Dark Urge, evil, power hungry. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Do it and have fun.
That's what I would do too, is I would do the evil Dark Urge character, the evil Dark Urge giving into the Dark Urge character, just like total fucking evil chaos. My character that I made, that I, obviously haven't had time to play as much, is a bard, evil Dark Urge bard. I called it the Liam Gallagher character.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So actually, I think I named that character Rat Boy.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. And he's listening at 4 hours and 15 minutes. So yeah, do we have anything else about Baldur's Gate 3? We've made it through. Talked about our playthroughs as expected. Obviously Jim has a lot of different perspectives, but like Chris and I feel like we followed a fairly similar path through, but things still worked out pretty differently for our characters and some like major decisions along the way. And that's what I hoped for with this spoiler section. And I know if Aaron was here as planned, first of all, we would have gone for 6 hours, but he had different experiences to us, because he and I talked quite a bit as he was playing the game too. So it's just a testament to the different ways that your playthroughs can turn out. And it's one of my favorite types of spoiler sections to do on the podcast, is games like this, where it's not so much breaking down story themes, but it's just a good old fashioned, like, what did you do here? What did I do here? How did it turn out for us? Which is just like a wonderful thing about this game.
Mm-hmm. A staggering amount of content. I've played through this game. I've sunk 500 hours into it, 4 playthroughs, and I had no idea that Gortash could go to the Netherbrain until you brought it up, Chris. I mean, it is continuing to impress me with things I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
this far in.
And you start to build up that understanding of why Larian wants to do something different and smaller after this.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, thank you so much. I have made the decision that this will have to be broken into 2 separate episodes. So thank you for being a part of the first time I've ever had to make that decision. You guys, absolute troopers, over 4 hours of recording. I appreciate you guys very much for coming on and doing this whole thing with me.
Yeah, it's been a good time. Thanks for getting me back into this game too. I'm super stoked to have finished it and like be hooked again. So
absolutely. Okay, well, that is the end of the Baldur's Gate 3 two-parter, the first in the Tales from the Backlog history. So thank you everybody who listened, whether you listened to both parts all the way through, or if you just tuned in for this special spoiler section standalone special. Appreciate you listening very much. And check out everything else we've got going on the podcast. Join the Discord server down in the show notes. Check out the Patreon if you want to support monetarily. And tune in next week for the next game to come out of the backlog. I think next week is another long one. I think it's Xenogears next week. So, yeah, check that out. Going to be a good time. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.